Welcome to Home Education Matters, the weekly podcast supporting you on your home education journey. Hello and welcome to Home Education Matters. Today I am joined by my son Xavier. So hello.
Hello.
It's very nice. It's very nice to have you with us. And you are part of our A Day in the Life series that we are doing. So I would like it if maybe first of all you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and your home education journey before we launch into what your typical day looks like.
Well, I'm 16. I've finished my GCSEs. I've been home educated for my entire life apart from a brief stint at a Montessori, which was only for socialising, not for anything educational, and we continue lessons during that.
Much to your horror.
I think I started home education when I was like a few years old in Egypt. I've had to, but it's worked, so we have stayed doing it. And because I'm not in school, I don't need. I can choose my own timetable, and so I work a lot less than people that students in school while getting similar or higher grades, which is obviously very nice.
You're a big fan of maximizing your workload and your time output and your work input or something like that, right? You're
maximum amount of leisure time that I can have, because that's what's important. You only work so that in the future you can have fun, and if I could still do that while having fun at the same time, then as well.
Yeah, I mean, some people would say that work itself is fun, but you have to be quite lucky to land one of those jobs.
I think the work is fun. It depends, but it depends entirely on what the work is. And also, it depends on whether you want to do it and whether it's forced. For example, I do many things that other people wouldn't enjoy and therefore would consider work. But also, there are things that I do that I wouldn't enjoy that other people do enjoy and that I consider work and that they don't consider work. Work is what you are told to do and is necessary, but you don't want to do.
Yes, as opposed to a hobby.
A hobby, which could still be necessary, and you need to do it, and you have the choice to do it. But if it's enjoyable, I don't think it's work anymore.
That's interesting. So for you, it's not about getting paid for something. It's about whether you enjoy it or not, whether it counts as work.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's work if you would stop doing it if you no longer get paid. If you're a teacher and you didn't get paid for it anymore, and you didn't need to get paid for anything, then if you continue to teach as your hobby, then I don't think it's work. Then I think it's a hobby that happens to be paid.
Well, we've segued off to defining what work is, but that's cool. So you've been home educated all your life, as you said, and you briefly went part-time to a Montessori just to make sure you weren't some sort of unsocialized freak. Yeah. And lo and behold, you weren't, so that was reassuring. And then you came straight out again. So obviously you've not really been in a school, not like a proper school in inverted commas. What would you say if you were to guess from having read, Enid Blyton, sort of St. Clair's stories and things like that, which obviously are not massively representative of the modern world, but what would you say is the biggest difference? What would you say is the biggest difference between being home educated and being a school child from your perspective?
For me, it's time. You spent a lot more time in school. I spend my entire day homeschooling, but that doesn't mean that I'm spending it on work, because but in school I would, if it is from say like 8 to 4 or something like that, then that's 6 hours, whereas I rarely do more than 2 hours and I get as much done, and so that is essentially 4 hours of almost filler that they do a day. And although they also have socializing, I think that the two big differences. The big benefit is that it is much easier to socialize and to meet with other people of similar age and similar interests.
If you're, for example,
yeah. Because like after school clubs, everybody is doing. You would know most of the people there, and also you will all be doing something kind of structured, but also it'll be enjoyable for you all, and you will be interested. Home education, you have to actually meet somebody up in a park, and invariably they just don't actually arrive, and and it is much harder to meet with other people of a similar age. And in groups, a lot of people are like 5 years old or something. They aren't like they aren't the same age as you. So yes, so it is a lot harder to socialize. But then I only need to do a third of the work, and I do quite a lot of work, I think, for a home educator, as most don't do 2 hours lessons a day. Most do maybe like half an hour or something.
I think it really depends on the home educator, because I know that there's some children who are sitting GCSEs that seem to do hours and hours a day. And you're now doing your A levels, and you do 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, something like that. 5 days a week.
10 hours a week.
And
plus
I think
plus about 4 hours of tutoring, which is still very little for A level.
In the A level Facebook groups that I'm in for home educators, they do seem to think that 2 hours 5 times a week is quite low. But
it is
realistically,
low.
But you're quite efficient with your time, aren't you?
It's the results, and the results are the important bits. And if the results are the same, then you may as well do it this way, or in whichever way you want. So the key is making sure that the results are the same.
For you, you're very results driven, right? So you want to make sure that you're getting good results, and you're putting in the least amount of time that you have to get those results, which is efficient. Talk us through then your standard kind of typical home ed day. So you're currently doing 4 A levels, and you're studying them all from home. And you've just finished your GCSEs, and you got 11 GCSEs. That was your decision to take that many, really, wasn't it?
Well, we thought it was 10, but I think we miscounted, and
we had a thing over economics and statistics and something, didn't we? Economics and something else. It was
economics or biology, and then we did biology, right. and then we just and then I think we did economics as well.
Yeah,
which kind of I wanted that we miscounted, but see, my first one was statistics, which are basically counting. And I'm just counting the GCSEs I was doing.
I think it was just more chaos, actually. It was more kind of disorderliness that got us to 11. So you're doing 4 A levels from home. Yes. So you're doing maths and physics and history and marine science, right? And you're still debating what you want to do at university, but you want to go on to university to do something. So that, just to give some context to our listeners. So would you like to talk us all through what a kind of typical home ed day looks like for you?
Well, I have a very structured day up until I finish my lessons, and then I just do whatever I want. Pretty much.
Because you've decided on this timetable yourself, haven't you?
I have. Mm-hmm. I think that it is... I really don't like having the almost threat or having the worry of lessons at 5 o'clock in the evening that I still need to do. I prefer to get it done in the morning, or mid-morning really, at the 12ish, and then I don't need to, and then I can relax until I get to bed. So I usually wake up around 9 o'clock, about 15 minutes plus or minus, to math terms. So between 8:45 and 9:15 usually, and then I'm on my laptop, having fun until about 10 o'clock, maybe a bit after. Where I then go in.
That's gaming. That kind of you play a kind of strategic war game or something.
It is kind of wished, but online and a little more complex.
Okay, so it's like a kind of strategic war game where you embody kind of different countries, and then you play with people across the world.
Yeah. And then and then you can start their war and negotiate and stuff like that.
Okay, so your gaming it's not like point and shoot gaming, Call of Duty kind of stuff. Okay, so carry on. That's reassuring for me anyway. So you do some gaming, and then what? What do you do then?
Usually a few minutes past 10 or 10 past 10 or something, I would then go in. I would then go into the sitting room, for breakfast, where I would then read my book, which is, it's not really a history book, but it's a book about history.
Hobsbawm, right?
Hobsbawm.
It's from your grandmother, isn't it? And
Yes.
it's like a
covering the
kind of
period that I'm doing in history,
yeah.
and I was going to read it anyway, but I decided to read it now because it is what I'm doing with history.
So you read
A
that with your
mixture of
breakfast.
I do a mixture of history, economics, and other books are like future utopia dystopia things because economics, um, which 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 I'm not doing for A level, but that's a different story.
It is a different story, and actually, that would be an interesting one to do a podcast on because you've with a couple of GCSEs and with an A level or two, you've sort of changed your mind and shifted from one subject to another, and that is the beauty of home education, isn't it? No, that is true.
If you try to do it, it'd be harder, and you would have missed out on first classes and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so you're having breakfast and you're reading your history book
between 10:30 and 10:40. Then I will go upstairs to practice on the piano.
Because you decided that you wanted to learn the piano a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah,
or a year or so ago.
It's a musical instrument. I don't know why I chose the piano over. No, I think actually just very simply, you bought my sister the piano for all of us because she wanted to do music, and I've used it. I liked it, and now it's kind of mine just because I'm the one used it.
That's true.
And I learnt it.
You've got squatter rights on it.
I do. And then around 11 o'clock, I come down. I meant to give myself a hot chocolate, but I always forget.
You built that in, didn't you, as a kind of habit-forming thing because you thought it'd be a nice
me to come down and to the lessons. But I don't really need it, and if I don't need it, then I would just try to add it back in, and then I decide and decide then while I'm sitting down at a desk, what lesson needs doing, what homework I need to do. Which is usually about 2 mornings a week of maths, 2 mornings a week of physics, and then 1 morning a week of history.
This is because you're doing your A levels, you have tutors for those subjects, right?
Yes.
And this is the same kind of pattern that you had towards the end of your GCSE years as well, isn't it? That you would do your work in the morning, and you yourself knew what subjects you were doing or what work needed to be done. You would schedule it out.
It's fundamentally lessons in the morning and the fun in the evening.
You're doing your 2 hours of lessons in the morning, and that can be either
1 hour and 2 hours depending on how quickly I finish it. And
so you don't set yourself a time; you set yourself an amount.
No, I set myself an amount. I usually try and finish that morning's worth of homework, and if I have time, then I'll just finish it at like 1 o'clock or something. But regularly, there is something happening. There is, for example, a tutor at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock. And then I obviously need to stop in time for that tutor, which is a bit annoying, but I still get most of it done.
And why do you use tutors and why don't you self-study? Because you self-study
for the easy
marine science, don't you, pretty much?
I do.
And also your history, you have a tutor once a fortnight, don't you? So, but the other two, you have them weekly. So why do you have tutors so regularly for A level?
Well, it's harder. That's probably the main thing. It's much harder. For me, it was pretty easy to read the book of statistics or biology or even astronomy kind of and stuff like that, and just get a good mark. Or history,
I suppose.
GCSE. Because GCSE is definitely easier, obviously. But with A level, it is helpful to have somebody that knows about it, so that they can guide through it if you don't know, if you don't understand. Because if you don't understand something, then just reading the book 20 times isn't going to help you that much. But a tutor can help because if they understand it, then they can make sure they understand it.
Yeah. So you self-studied. You self-studied what you could, the easy ones that you could for GCSE, which were about 2/3 of them, I think. And then
I think only for maths,
German,
chemistry, German. Well, of course German, because it's just difficult to learn without. So maths, I think it was maths, chemistry, and of course English, which is English.
English was an interesting one, wasn't it? Because I could easily have taught you English.
You could have.
But I kind of didn't want to, because at that time I was quite busy. You had quite a bit on. Your sister had quite a bit on, and I was just starting a business, and so I offshored English to a very expensive English tutor, as it happens. Yeah, it was one of those things where even though I made that decision. I kind of looked at my time a bit like you do, where you look at the amount of time that you're going to spend on something, and I just thought, you know what, I'd rather pay. I'm lucky enough to be able to afford it, so I was like, I'm going to pay and just free that time up for myself, I think. Anyway, so you've done all your lessons, then you have lunch.
Let's say I finish at like maybe 12:30 or 1 o'clock or something. Then I would continue to do my games into lunchtime. And then from after that is then just really whatever we do on the day. So after lunch I might do some more bits, or I might do my racing game, or we could do it, or maybe we would all do a ball game, or maybe I'll have a tutor, or maybe we would go out somewhere.
Yeah.
But after the morning,
it's free time in effect.
Yeah, it's free. It is available leisure time. That I spend doing whatever we need to be doing.
So for you, I'm getting the impression that the bonus for home education, like you said at the start, is that because you can control your own workload and your lesson load and the subjects that you study and how you study them and things like that, it means that you're able to organize your day efficiently so that you have maximum amount of time available for doing all the stuff you want to do. And then your studying, you can compress into a part of the day, get it done. And so it doesn't have to extend to that kind of 9 till 3 time.
For me, the most important thing, the thing that I most want in life is more time. When I was making my Christmas list, I just thought that I wanted just more time in the day, just because because I already enjoy life, so I don't need money to make it better. I need more time to have more of it. And so
very lovely.
Yeah. And so with education, I've got a lot more time instead of spending like 2/3 of working hours in classroom. Yeah, and so for me that is the big bonus. It gives me a lot more time to do whatever I want, while also being equally or probably more effective than school.
Okay. And so my last question to you is this. If you could sum up your home education life in 3 words, what 3 words would you use? I've sprung it on you, I know.
I'm going to take a long time on this one, and I'm going to also think of some rather exotic but kind of uncommon birds.
I look forward to it. Come on then.
Also probably some they're made up. My first one...
Anti-disestablishmentarianism.
Some isn't made up. And funny enough, I am a disestablishmentarianist. Because...
Let's not even drift there.
No. So the first one would be the opposite of time consuming. So I don't think it is an opposite of time consuming, because I'm going to have to make it up. Probably something like...
Time effective?
Time producing.
Okay, yeah.
Time allowing. Timeful.
Timeful, I like that. That sounds like a bad app, doesn't it?
It does.
Okay, I think we get what you mean by the first one. What are your next 2?
Next 2 would be flexible.
Yes, that's one of my favorites.
Finally, as my way of doing it is probably in the top like 10% of the most inflexible ways of doing it. Having an order routine for the first half of the day.
You mean for home educators? Most home educators, do prefer to have something a little bit more freeform. Hippies.
Kind of.
Sweeping generalization there.
But I think that order gives you freedom, which is why by having order in the first half of the day, I'm free next half, and I'm also free for the rest of my life by having the qualifications that I need. So a small amount of order gives me the freedom. So that's why flexible, despite it being a rather inflexible regime. For example, whenever anybody asks for me for me to do anything, I always say that I can't do it in the mornings, and that isn't very flexible. But I can do anything in the afternoons, which is more flexible.
It's interesting that before you get onto your third one, it's interesting, isn't it, that for you, the freedom of home education is to be quite structured, to choose to be quite structured in order to give you freedom within that.
Yes.
You gain your flexibility within a structure.
But
and this is why I think it's so important as home educators and so helpful for us to be able to allow our child to choose their route, because for some children that would be a total disaster, but for other children they like to find that flexibility within a structure.
For example, although I like orders, although I like order and routines, I don't think that I would like a stalled routine unless I thought it was a good routine. If I didn't think,
because you can choose your own, and so that has
therefore
validity.
I know that it's good.
Yeah,
but if I thought that was just unnecessary, and if I found like almost an inefficiency, if for example we have French with an hour maths in between, I would find that rather inefficient, and so I wouldn't like the routine. But if I think that is good, then I follow it, and because I made it myself, I follow it.
Yeah. Okay. Third word.
Third word. So we have flexible and untime consuming.
Timeful. Timeful, the bad app. Timeful.
Yes. I think that should be probably a meditation app.
Yeah, or some sort of like productivity app.
Oh, a mindfulness thing, yeah. Perhaps unlocking? Because it allows me, I mean, it's kind of flexible in that I can choose whatever subjects I want to do that is feasible to do. I'm forced to do some, and I mean, for example, in school, I would expect that there would be some that I would have to do that I didn't want to do. For example, maybe English literature, and there'd be some that I did want to do that I couldn't. So I mean, science or economics or astronomy or German, probably. I'd be probably the French. So this is definitely
environmental management. I mean, we could go on and on.
Half of them. And so by being able to choose, basically, I can choose what life I want to live in instead of school where you can't do it as much. In that, if I wanted to become a marine biologist, it'd be much easier to do that if I took marine science as A level, and I think also now I just see, whereas
it's coming in,
whereas school, I don't think that is an option, or at least not in all schools, and so it's obviously very difficult. I would have to study in my own free time marine science to have any hope of doing it at university, which obviously you don't get that much free time if you go to school. I don't think it's basically homework and school and sleeping, which is whereas I have homework, sleeping, and fun, which is obviously a combination.
I'm gonna nick that then as your 3 words for home education. Although your 3 words of home education are very fancy, but what was it? Homework, sleeping, fun. Yes. No, school lessons, sleeping, fun, or something. That is a good sum up of home education.
Yes, it's good. And also then you can easily contrast it with school, which was school homework, sleeping, which
there's no fun in there, right? Where's the fun gone? They've taken out the best bit of the day.
Really? Because that is how I kind of approach the world. I think that we need a fourth one, which would be probably homework, school, sleeping, people, or friends. Whereas maybe home education would be homework, fun, sleeping, less friends.
Yeah, I think that's a very valid. I think that's a very valid assessment, and I think there's no doubt that when you home educate, it's more of a challenge for your child to socialize because they're just not in the proximity of other children for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week.
There is definitely a trade-off. You have got more probably fun and flexibility and time, a lot more time, but you have got fewer friends, and also you don't have few friends. It is hard to make a lot of friends, and it's also harder to find good ones because you are forced.
Although I will say, as you know as well from adminning the homeschooling UK group,
Yeah,
there
so
are
you
there
are
are
not guaranteed to have any
no.
friends.
I mean, in actual
You
fact,
are,
what we're
yeah,
considering as a bonus of being at school is that you're around lots of people your own age. Is actually a
that's a good
poison
thing.
chalice
Yeah,
for lots of
it is.
children, and that's why they home
It's a double-edged
educate, right?
sword.
So, yeah, it is a double-edged sword. Okay, well, thank you so much. It has been a very helpful look at your day, and also we've managed to right the wrongs of a disordered world, and we've managed to work out what was the thing we did at the start.
Well,
Work. Oh yeah,
we
definition of
managed to
work.
find out. We managed to work out what work is.
We worked out what work is, and we managed to whistle stop through your home ed day. So thank you, Xavier. That has been very lovely chatting.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you so much for joining us for today's Home Education Matters podcast. See you at the next one. Have a lovely day.